In this part of the tutorial, we're going to talk about creating a new template for new shows. You already have a bunch of them, but we're going to create a new one as an example of how to run the timeline editor and maybe in a different tutorial the overlay editor. So what you see on the screen is a video editor called Magix, and it's really pretty good. I normally use Premiere Pro, but this one is a really good example of a model that CASTTOR uses. What you see on the screen is a bunch of tracks with different things in them. Now I'm going to show this track. Well, let's show you what a show would look like. We have a bumper or a start, block S, start. We have a main program, which is this one right here. We have some trailers or fill, and I've talked about block S, block P, block F, and block E. So these are just clips that go into the fill area, and then an end block. So these right here is the timeline. These right here are the overlays. So if I just solo this, and what you'll see now is the bumper or the start, whatever you want to call it, without any overlays. The program, it's just a cartoon. Clip. This fills in the empty space, and then an end graphic. If I turn this off and then turn this on, what you get is this overlay right here. And if I turn this on, you get this overlay. So basically this is sort of the model that CASTTOR uses, and that is a bunch of scenes for the the main timeline and a bunch of overlays. So how does that map into CASTTOR? So I'll bring this over, and essentially, I can do this. Essentially, this line of videos to play correspond to these scenes. So this would be a scene, and let's go down to main program, and this would be the video. So these things go together in that you have view main program, and you have, well, view underscore, which tells CASTTOR this is what it wants to pay attention to, and then the same name but with something else in the start. So when CASTTOR programs a scene, it is actually programming this guy. So essentially, when CASTTOR goes through here, it can say, okay, I want to do this one, and I want you to put a video in that. I want you to come down here, and I want you to put a video in that. The overlays correspond to these guys, and in the overlay editor you'll see that these are in the same order as these, so that you know what's on top and what's on the bottom. So for now, what we're going to do is concentrate on these guys. So let's make a new template. So I'm going to move this out of the way, move this over here. I'm going to bring in the scheduler. And what we're going to do is, you can take an old one, take an old schedule like standard 1080 TV show, and we can change this to the new template. So I'm going to save this to common, and going to name the template tutorial, tutorial 1080p. If I go and open from common, you'll see tutorial there ready to go. And it uses this timeline definition and this overlay definition. But we're going to replace those with something new. Now, it makes a lot of sense if the new one sort of looks like the old one, but we're not going to do that. We're just going to erase everything and load things as we go. So let's go over to the overlay editor, and we're going to say new. We're going to give it the name new. We're going to come over here and we're going to say new also, and that clears everything for us to go. So we are going to concentrate on this, and you'll see that well, it didn't do it, did it? Nope. So this really sort of doesn't do much at all. If we, nope, that didn't work because we have nothing here. Okay. So we're going to go over here to the timeline editor, and we are going to essentially fill these up with this information. So let's just start with the program. Okay, you'll see that it puts scene names in here, and essentially we want to pick the scene that works. So if you come over here to OBS, you'll find that I have something called main program, and if I unlock it and click on it, you'll see that it takes up the whole screen, and this profile is set up for 1080. So and you'll see the name of the source is VLC main program, and the scene is view main program. So when we come over here and pick the scene, you'll see it's in the same order as this guy, and we will pick view main program, and we are going to turn off everything except P, the P block. Okay, so the way this thing is organized is the top layer, it defines what blocks you want to use, and the bottom layer, the bottom part of this timeline says to use them. So define where the blocks are and what order to run them in. And always keep these things locked, because it's really easy to move them around and then you're out of luck. So there's nothing here. No problem. The one thing that is different from this, from all the rest of these things, is that the show comes from this information right here. So these guys here are actually are picked up from OBS. So you're sort of seeing what OBS has us set to. And we're not going to do S or F or P for now. We're just going to concentrate on the main block. And what I'm, sorry. So let's save as to common tutorial timeline. We'll come up here, save the overlay block to tutorial overlay. And you'll see, well, that didn't work out too well. Well, we'll just leave it like that. So if we run this, if we create the program, you will see that information and that it picked this guy, and the program is only 1579. It's sort of short because the program itself is short. So if we run this, let's get this out of the way. If we run this, and so that works. So what do we do now? We want to actually figure out the rest of this. So let's do the start block. We're going to define the start block, and we are going to put something in it. Now you have stuff from your streaming TV shows, or you have stuff from your channel. So if we want to, in the start, we want to do a bumper, we might come down to this, and this is a video, and it's MP4, and well, let's see what it is. So it's a full video, and we're just going to drag it up there. But you see it came up with an error. It said image file, mismatch type. So we're going to change this to station intro, and if you come down to station intro, you will see, that it's a 1080p. So why have two different names? It sort of reminds you that this thing is for intros, and it's just a clear your head type of thing. You could use all the same stuff, but the CASTTOR, when it's running this video in this source, it loads it and it plays it. And if the next video is in the same source, it has to pause, load it, and then start it up. If it's in a different scene or a different source, CASTTOR preloads that source before, while it's doing the current one, so that it is ready and the pause time is shorter. So we have S, we're going to use it, we define it, we're going to use P, it's defined, it knows to use the front page, and we are going to use S. You check it and use it, that means play it, and let's see what we get when we create the program. So where did it go? Failed. What happened? I'm sorry, I didn't put anything in it. So when I change this, it X'd this out, so we'll put the bumper in there. This will work. Okay, and you notice when I put this in, it popped it up. So, you can sort of see what you're dropping in. If I do something else, it would, well, let's see what logo does. I don't know if this will work. So we want a 15-second bumper, and now let's see. So it shows that it's going to run S block, P block, these are the time, and it doesn't quite come out to 17:30, which is this time right here. So if we run it, let's get this out of the way. Play the episode. Plays the 10-second. And if you, this was the run page, and you can see that it is doing the station clip, then it was doing the highway patrol. Okay, so let's start to finish this up. So right here, the end, what we want to do is put in a bunch of clips. You have a choice. Well, you have a lot of choices. So you can put in clips. You can have an MP4 if you want to have sort of a an ending video. You can put in a JPEG. So if we were going to do that, so let's come up here, and we will see CASTTOR. We'll come down here, and let's say here's some trailers. So here is some trailers, and I'm just going to put this trailer right there. And it didn't like that because the black file is, and you'll see that I have one called end block, and we'll do this again. Oops, what did it do? So what we're going to do is turn the audio off. So what we're going to do is let's turn these S and P off. We'll turn E on, and when we run it, we should just fail to shorten the timeline. Okay, so I got this message, fail to shorten the timeline. What does that mean? Well, there's no F. I'm going to have to fix that so that it doesn't pay any attention to it. So let's see what happens with P and E. Run. Okay, so it didn't like just having this without that. So good to know. You know, a lot of these times when I'm doing these tutorials, I'm teaching it in a manner that I don't use it normally, so of course I don't run into the problem, which is why a beta user is, you know, just a miracle worker, because not only is he going to do it slightly different, but he's going to do it in very imaginative ways that, you know, if I haven't thought ahead, you know, it might screw it up. So this is just the way it is with beta testing, and basically CASTTOR works really well. It's just little quirky things here and there. So I made a scrunchy face quirky. So let's do a fill. So what is a fill? Well, a fill is when you have a 25-minute main program and you want to schedule a 30-minute, you have 5 minutes of blank. So fill is used to fill in the remaining time to the end of the program with stuff. So there's a couple ways of doing it. You essentially want to, number one, is put a folder in there with a bunch of MP4s, little clips, and it will go through there and schedule those. Remember, CASTTOR, when you give it a folder, you're telling CASTTOR, you pick. Okay. The other thing you can do is just have one big long video that you know is going to be long enough, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, or whatever, and you're just playing that. You know, this folder that you use could be PSAs, it could be you know, ads, I guess. It can be public announcements. It can be a slideshow. If you do a slideshow, you normally sort of want, you know, music with it. And even if if you put a slideshow and it has to be 5 minutes long, then when you actually do an overlay and use music, that has to be at least that. If you are, you know, have 25 minutes of stuff and you want to do a slideshow, you might instead put the MP3 into the fill so that it's playing a bunch of MP3s, and then use the overlays and schedule a slideshow over that. So there's a lot of ways of doing that, but what we're just going to do is pick filler, and you can see I just named these so that it makes sense. And filler, if you come down here and unlock it, you'll see that it's a 1080p also. So these things are duplicated with just different names, just to make it easier. So we're going to just have the fill. And this is the way you test it. You turn off the other things, you come up here, you play the program, and it didn't like that very much. So I'll do 2 of them, and we'll try this again. Didn't like that. And that's because I didn't put anything into it. Oh, that's dumb. And you can see, even though I'm used to this, I do dumb things. So what we're going to do is come down here to trailers, and I'm just going to, you remember, if I give it a folder, it came up. How clever. So let's see if this can do it by itself. So we'll go over here and play. It did. So what did it schedule? Okay. What it scheduled was a whole bunch of these. And you can see it's Invisible Man, 5 came back, Invisible Man, 5 came back, da 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 da. Okay, so if you look into this, you'll see I have different genre, and under horror I have Kaltiki, the Immortal Monster. Okay, if I move this out of the way, stop this, come over here to the timeline, go up to F, and I put in horror. And you see, pick Kaltiki. If I run this, you'll see that there's only one in the folder, so it just kept repeating it, which is sort of boring. So let's stop that. We'll come over here again, and we're going to do something really cool, really, really cool. And you see I made a thing called all. Well, I have some in general, I have some in horror. What is all? Wow. All is just a folder full of shortcuts pointing at Kaltiki, 5 came back, Invisible Man in the different folders. And if I do that, did I do it right? Let's see what happens. Okay, so here's the list of the fill, and now it's 5 came back, Visible Man, 5 came back. Well, that didn't work right. What happened? We'll try this again. Okay, so why didn't that work? Well, I'm going to have to look at this because it's supposed to work. Another thing to look at. Bugs, bugs, bugs. But anyway, the idea the shortcut works. So why doesn't the all work? Okay. It did work. Meet the Invisible Man, 5 came back, and Kaltiki. So now it's going to play all 3, and because that's all there was, it'll just rotate through them. So what was the point of all this? Well, essentially this is how you make favorites. So you can have favorites, make different additional folders, John Wayne Western or whatever, and put those in there, and then you can drag and drop your favorite into whatever you want. And if you are, you want to have all these different categories separated by genre, then you can have all, and they're all together into one big directory, and you can drop that in, and everybody's happy. So you have the choice of genre and concatenated folders. And this also works on this guy. You can have a favorites that will bring up Highway Patrol or My Mother the Car or whatever, and it will do a variety of different things and then switch to the correct directory. So we've actually created something that works. We will turn all of these on. We will make sure that everything's defined. So we have what we want to play, and some of these are files. Some of these are folders. Folders again, CASTTOR picks. And the folder can be full of shortcuts also. So we put this trailer in here, and we have trailers up here. So I mean, it doesn't make any much sense because we're doing both. But if we save this, save the file, and create something, you will see it's doing all 4. It's doing 5 came back. Did we do a... Okay. When we did E, we did a specific one. And that's why this will, if we do it again, it will still be the same one because we told it an individual MP4. So that covers actual timeline. And I'm going to cut this tutorial short because the next one will be on how to do the overlay files with regard to this. And as you remember, it's blank. So that's it for the timeline, and next video will be on the overlays. So, and it's a continuation of this one. So good to go. I'm going to stop recording, and I hope you enjoyed this.